What is the stupidest thing you have ever heard out of someone's mouth? I'm partially deaf. I've been partially deaf since I was 3 years old, and I've been slowly but surely getting more deaf. I had a manager tell me I needed to work harder to get over my hearing loss. There was genuinely no concept of hearing loss being permanent in some cases, and no amount of working harder would get rid of it. Something similar happened to a friend of mine at school. We had practice and she was in the back of the huddle. With her hearing loss, it was difficult for her to understand coach, so she asked for our coach to repeat herself. Our coach yelled at her for not paying attention and for wasting time, so my friend apologized and explained that she has hearing loss. Our coach looked her dead in the eyes and said, "Well, you need to listen better." In a similar circumstance, I have been losing my hearing since 16. I had a boyfriend and his sister tell me one time that I needed to work on my hearing because he doesn't like having to repeat himself when I don't hear him. Rolling eyes face, "Yeah, okay, let me just get new ears." Tampons have asbestos in them to make you bleed more, so you need to buy more of them, from a girl at a bar, roughly 2003-2004. I just laughed and said, "Where'd you hear that?" "On the internet." As this was the era of chain emails and non-facts floating around online. Not surprisingly, yes, she did read it online. This one has been around since before the internet. I remember hearing it when I was a kid, except it was a particular brand of tampon, and I think it was fiberglass instead of asbestos. My very diabetic friend had dangerously high blood sugar levels and was in the emergency room. When she was starting to feel better and expressed that she was hungry, the nurse brought her a white bread ham sandwich, banana and juice box. When my friend said, "I can't eat this, it's literally all sugar," the nurse looked her dead in the face and replied, "I don't know what you people can eat. Do you want an extra juice box?" I wouldn't have believed it if I wasn't in the same room. I answer the phones and triage calls at a vet hospital. Had a lady call panicking because she was sure her dog's heart had exploded after he ran into a stake in the ground and hit his chest and yelped. They then walked a half a mile home. No, she didn't carry him, and he was just calmly watching her while she was screaming into the phone, "But how do I know his heart didn't explode?" "Well, ma'am, it sounds like he's alive, so that's a pretty good clue." Or the family sobbing because the daughter fed their dog a bagel with locks on it, then googled "can dogs eat raw salmon" and found some obscure deadly parasite dogs catching salmon in the wild can get, and were positive the dog was actively dying. She made me confer with 2 separate doctors because she didn't believe me, then didn't believe the first doctor, then finally felt silly when the second doctor agreed human-grade locks and wild-caught raw salmon are not the same thing at all. Or the "I took my dog's medicine, what do I do?" You have to call your own doctor. We only deal with veterinary medicine, but it was a veterinary medicine, yes, and you are a human. Working at a vet's office has really made me realize humans are way dumber than I ever imagined. I worked at a hippie crystal store in the mall. These girls come up and are looking at our amethyst cathedrals, big pretty chunks of amethyst. One reached out to touch it and her friend immediately held her back and pulled her away, yelling, "Don't touch that. It's amethyst. Being around it gives you asthma." She was genuinely upset. I stopped dead in my tracks when I heard that one. Reminds me of a video on FB. A Chinese man was speaking to his dog in Chinese, and an American was so shocked that the dog understood Chinese. He seemed to assume that dogs are born understanding English. That's really just sad. I remember going to Mexico as a kid and seeing a guy talk to his dog in Spanish. I was maybe 11. I was about to ask my dad, but before the words even left my mouth, my 11-year-old brain stopped and realized what was what. Never mind that fact that our lazy dog at home definitely didn't speak any English. True, often when people say stupid things, it's because they think about what they say after they said it rather than before. Shy people tend to learn the habit of anxiously reviewing what to say repeatedly in their mind before they just decide not to say anything after all, thus successfully hiding their stupidity. I totally get the logic on this one though. Someone told him once that most diamonds are blood diamonds and cause untold misery, yet everyone buys them anyway. He sees blood oranges and probably has some vague idea that some food supply chain stuff is also very bad ethically, which is totally true, like cartel avocados and stuff, and put 2 and 2 together. Like, if you think about it, it isn't much weirder for there to be 2 well-known slave supply industries than it is to just have one. Dude is dumb as rocks, but if it's stuck in his mind like that and he never bought any blood oranges or diamonds, that's a person with a pretty solid moral code emo. I was in a Warby Parker one day and there was a married couple being waited on ahead of me. I guess they were both maybe 50. The sales guy was showing them a pair of transition lenses and the man just could not understand them. The sales guy tried to explain them. His wife tried to explain them. He just kept replying, "But I don't understand how they give you night vision." They brought him outside to show him how the lenses darken in sunlight so you don't need a separate pair of sunglasses, and he was like, oh. Okay, I get it now. But how does the night vision work? After 20 minutes or so they gave up trying to explain to him that the glasses do not give you night vision. At an old job we had balloons in the office left over from a kid's birthday party in the restaurant. A server comes in, and says, oh, balloons. She then picked a balloon up of the ground, opened it, inhaled the air and said hello all excitedly. She then goes, oh. Why didn't it work? Her face when I explained to her that wasn't helium she had just breathed in, but some dad's breath that had been in the balloon for hours, was priceless. I was working midnights back in the 80s. It was almost dawn and a few of us were hanging out in the parking lot. Venus was blazing away in the pre-dawn sky. I pointed it out to my coworkers and how it was easy to find in the sky. Its positioning in relation to the sun when I got interrupted by one of the guys standing there. He was pretty adamant that the sun revolved around the earth. I shit you not, I heard that the earth is hollow. And we live on the inside. When we look at the sky, we are looking into the middle of the earth, where are 3 spheres. Black body sphere is the biggest and it has dots on it. That's night. Sun and moon are smaller spheres. At night, sun is behind black sphere so it is dark. Also you can't see other parts of the earth just by looking up, because light does not travel in a straight line. It travels in a spiral. / edit I didn't expect for this to blow this much. Thank you all. As a reward I was able to find some source. It's in Czech, but images should answer some of your questions. https://alaska.org/duda zeme nak a den rockni objo before dil / edit to this spiral idea really ignited discussion, so I should clarify, after reading source above, it's not spiral, it's parabolic trajectory. I remembered it wrong. I once was talking about how my mom used to have to steal food / clothing when my siblings and I were children so we could survive. Then my friend just says, yeah, but I bet you guys still ate blackberries. You can't be poor if you eat blackberries, apparently. Edit, reposted comment, her point is more that a little store-bought container is like $3, but that's still a dumb point. Like, if we bought M from the store it was a treat and we each only had a couple. We weren't even buying mass amounts of blackberries to have a full serving. $3 once every month or so isn't anything, embarrassed smiley face. This is particularly hilarious to me, because at our poorest my family ate a lot of blackberries. They were free, because the entire roadside in our neighborhood had blackberry bushes growing along the side, and we'd pick pounds of M and make pies, jams, and just eat them straight all the time. Same here. My great-grandpa lived out in the rural area of northern FL and we would pick blackberries from the woods. I wish we had been told earlier that eating blackberries makes you wealthy, otherwise we wouldn't have chosen to been poor. I work at a bagel shop and I had a customer come in with a complaint one day after buying some Nestle chocolate milk from us. So here is how the story goes. We had a guy come in and accuse us of selling and charging him for 2 bottles worth of chocolate milk inside of 1 bottle when he only wanted 1 serving. I guess he thought it was a super large or something? We only have 1 size, and it isn't that big, his reasoning for thinking that? On the bottle of chocolate milk it says that a thoughtful serving is half the bottle, so he thought 1 bottle equals 2 bottles of chocolate milk and he only wanted 1. I had to explain to this guy that a thoughtful portion was just a recommendation by Nestle that he only drink half the bottle because it's healthier. And it's not that there are 2 chocolate milk bottles in the 1 bottle he bought. Then he told us we should be less confusing. And then I had to explain to him that we do not own Nestle and do not have a chocolate milk factory in the back of the shop where we make and produce the chocolate milk. Then he said he no longer wanted it because he is hearing now that it is not fresh, so he tried to get a refund on a half-drunk chocolate milk and I had to explain to him that no, we cannot do that. And then he left in a huff. I know it sounds unbelievable, but it really is true. People this stupid exist in our world as members of society. In history class back in the day, our teacher wanted to show us some video. Teacher pulled down a projector screen and turned on the projector, started to play the video but had no sound. The stupidest girl I have ever met declares I'll fix it. And approaches the projector screen, looks at it for a minute, looks behind the screen. Then finally announces she doesn't know what's wrong with it. In the early 2000s I was in a college ethics class and we were talking about the concept of a preordained set of morals being part of our human experience. Like you automatically know right from wrong. Anyway, this was right after 9/11 and a classmate raised their hand to give an example of why this is true. They said, "Of course everyone knows right from wrong, that's why Osama bin Laden is hiding in those caves. He knows what he did was wrong. The terrorists are ashamed." Was gobsmacked. My Walgreens pharmacist just this morning that said he would sell my insulin but wouldn't sell my syringes. WTF am I supposed to do with a vial of insulin with no way to inject it?